At 6 o'clock sharp, what we're going to do, Ms. James, would you go ahead and make the announcement about the council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you have present here for the public hearing, the Mayor Pro Tem Linda J. Davis, the Honorable Alex Heath, the Honorable Hattie Portis Jones, the Honorable Pat Palin, the Honorable Ulysses Smallwood, and the Honorable James Whitmore.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, Mr. City Administrator will bring you or the Finance Director up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, our Finance Director, Mr. Brian Stevenson, will present our millage rate presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I want to speak a little bit on the millage rate and make it clear to our citizens exactly what we're proposing for this year. The millage rate is a tax rate used to calculate local property taxes. When multiplied against the assessed value of taxable property, it calculates to the amount of property tax to be paid. It represents the amount per $1,000 or every $1,000 of property's assessed value. For example, a millage rate of 8 mills is $8 per thousand of assessed value. The city must set a millage rate that provides sufficient revenue to support the maintenance and operations of the city for the new fiscal year. In Georgia, property is required to be assessed at 40% of the fair market value unless otherwise specified by law. Property is assessed at the county level by the Board of Tax Assessors. The State Revenue Commissioner is responsible for examining all the digests of the counties in order to determine the property is assessed uniformly and equally between and within counties. Property owners that do not agree with their assessed value of their proposed assessment may file an appeal with the County Board of Equalization, Hearing Officer, or Arbitration. So each year, the Fulton County Board of Tax Assessors is required to review the assessed value of taxable properties for the county for taxing purposes. When the trend of prices on properties that have recently sold in the county indicates there has been an increase in fair market value of any specific property, the Board of Tax Assessors is required by law to reevaluate the value of such property and adjust the assessment. When the total digest of the taxable property is prepared, Georgia law requires that a rollback millage rate to be computed that will produce the same total revenue on the current year's digest that last year's millage rate produced. If the city does not take the rollback rate, this must be advertised as a tax increase even if the city does not increase the tax rate. So just want to give you an example of our rollback rate versus the current millage rate. Our current millage rate is 9.56 mills. The rollback millage is 8.79 mills. So just gave you an example here of a house that has a fair market value of $200,000. The taxable rate is 40%, which means your assessed value is $80,000. Your taxable value is $80,000 times our current millage, which is 9.56 mills, which means your city property taxes are $764.80 in this example. If we took the rollback rate, the fair market value the same, $200,000 with a 40% taxable rate for your assessed value to be $80,000. The taxable value, again, $80,000. The rollback millage would be 8.79%, and the city property taxes would be $703. So the difference between us not taking the rollback rate and the current millage is about $61 per year on a house that's worth $200,000. Again, I want to stress that this is keeping everything equal. If your value does not go up from one year to the next and it stays at $200,000, then the difference in your tax bill this year should be about $60.
Okay. What I'd like to do, I'm going to open a hearing and then close it. I will now officially opening the public hearing. The ones here that wish to speak in, I will now officially close the public hearing. At this time, then, Mr. City Administrator, would you mention two things for me? Would you mention the two points that came up from the meeting this morning? The gentleman asked about the rate versus a similar property point, and then also mention what you mentioned the area that Ms. Davis, Mayor Pro Tem, mentioned this morning, just for those that didn't hear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The two issues that we addressed earlier in the 10 a.m. millage rate hearing had to do with the assessed value of a property. And we explained to the resident that was here at that time that that is a function of the Fulton County Board of Tax Assessors, that they are solely responsible for assessing the value of real property throughout the county. They do have an appeal process. It's typically indicated on your tax bill the date by which you must file an appeal if you have a dispute or a disagreement with the assessed value of your property. So we encourage residents to look at that tax notice very carefully in case they have questions and they would like to appeal. Mayor Pro Tem Linda J. Davis pointed out that if you do in fact decide that you want to appeal the process, that you can pay, I believe it's 80%.
85%.
85% of the assessed value as opposed to the full tax bill while that appeal is pending. And upon resolution of the bill, then the tax assessor would adjust accordingly whether or not there's any change to the assessment. And so that is a common question that we've heard from residents, because since our millage rate in Fairburn has not changed, the likely cause of any increase to any resident's tax bill is because of the assessed value of their property. And so it's important that that information is available. It is on the county's website, on the Fulton County Board of Tax Assessors, and we encourage our Fairburn residents who may have those questions to please contact the Board of Tax Assessors to avail themselves of that appeal process.
Also, just for clarification purposes too, indicate that as relates to the rollback, what was mentioned in the slide, that's just not relate to the city of Fairburn. That actually relates to all 15 cities in the county, correct? I just want to make sure there's verification that we're not the only government that actually had to do the advertisement.
Yes, sir. We had to advertise as a property tax increase because we will receive more revenue based on the higher digest.
But that was all 15 cities.
That's all 15 cities
in the county. I just want
Yeah,
to make
property
sure.
values are up pretty much across the board.
Right. Members, if any members of council have a question? Okay, with that being said, we will adjourn the meeting until our 7 o'clock meeting.
Okay, can I
Well, go ahead.
make a suggestion, that's not part of the meeting? What you just presented, it's on the city website.
It should be, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, can we do some sort of general email kind of deal to folks saying, you know, you're asking all kinds of questions here, take a look at this. It's very short, sweet, simple, and explains it in a fashion which will keep lots of people from having your phone. Hi, how, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it.
Councilman Palin, we can certainly look into that. And we do have a certain number of email addresses through our utility database and others, and we could certainly email that out to everyone for whom we have a valid email address. So
Again,
yes,
just sort of a general FYI, gang, here you go, take a look at this, kind of thing, you know?
Certainly.
Any other questions or comment by members of council?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll see you at 7 o'clock.
Is there